We are now joined by Illinois head coach John Groce. The Illini are 17-9 overall and 7-6 in Big Ten play. Illinois will host Michigan State on Sunday. Coach Groce, good morning.
Good morning.
Please start us out with a brief opening statement, then we'll go straight to questions.
Sure. Well, I thought we certainly learned a lot about our team last week. I thought for the bulk of the minutes of both the Michigan and the Wisconsin games that we played very well. I thought it was good to get Ray Rice acclimated throughout last week. I thought other guys continued to play at a really high level. I thought that, I thought we showed a lot of grit and toughness. Obviously, we were a little bit disappointed yesterday with the way that we did not rebound the ball. That I thought at the end of the day was a big factor in the game. Some of our sloppy turnovers in the first 4 or 5 minutes. Although you only end up with 10 when you play a team like Wisconsin. Certainly up there, your margin for error is small, and I just thought we had a couple things there that we needed to take care of that we didn't on the glass and with taking care of the basketball. But we had some great possessions during the game, both offensively and defensively. And then I think the thing that stood out about the Michigan game last Thursday was just our ability to be really tough when our shots weren't falling. I thought our quality of shot was really good. We just had one of those nights where we didn't convert enough in transition, didn't convert layups, missed open shots, and but found a way defensively to impact the game and really went on a heck of a run there at the end. So this week's a big week for us because it's our last off week. Gives us a chance to get mentally and physically refreshed a little bit while at the same time working on some things we need to improve upon as a team, regardless of who we're playing. And then obviously towards the mid to later part of the week, we'll start focusing on a really good Michigan State team. Questions?
Thanks, Coach. Let's go straight to questions, please.
If you'd like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question comes from the line of Bob Baptist with the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, John.
Hey, Bob.
I was wondering how you think this glut of teams 2 through, say, 9, if it stays like this, is going to affect NCAA tournament selection. The bar in the league has always seemed like if you finish 9-9 or 10-8, you're going to get in. And I wondered if that if it might come down to something like non-conference performance or something with some of these teams this year.
Well, I don't know. Bob, I'm one of those guys, in learning what I've learned about the tournament when it gets to that point, I do believe that they look at each individual team aside from what league they're in. They look at that team and they gauge it or try the best they can to stack it up versus the other teams. I don't think it's so much as this league, that league. I don't think leagues get in the NCAA tournament, I guess is what I'm saying. I think teams do. At least that's what they've told us, and that's how it's been based. So I think sometimes that gets lost as people discuss that. And then secondly, for me, for us right now, it's about, and I'm sure every coach would tell you the same thing, it's about, kind of one day at a time. We've got our next game is Michigan State. We can't control what this thing is going to look like too far into the future. We can't control what's happened in the past. I'm sure that all of us that are in that middle pack right now can think of a game or two man, could have had that one. Then there's probably a game or two maybe that each of us snuck. So I think at some point that water finds its level deal certainly is true. But for me right now it's about our off week and getting ready for Michigan State, taking it. That's the only game in front of us. That's the most important game in front of us. And then once we play that one, it's the next one. So, those are kind of my thoughts on that when people discuss, the blob of teams there, certainly in the middle.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Your next question comes from the line of Shannon Ryan with Chicago Tribune.
Hi, John.
How you
doing? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can, yeah.
Okay. I know you used the word saying Ray Rice has gotten more acclimated the last week, obviously getting back in the lineup. I'm just curious, after watching maybe reviewing the game yesterday, just how close do you feel like he is to where he was or where he can be again this year?
Well, he's getting closer, certainly from a conditioning standpoint. In fact, he's ahead of that. I think from a conditioning standpoint, Ray himself and everybody else that worked with him there, trainers, our strength and conditioning coach, deserve a lot of credit because, I didn't think he would be able to play that many minutes in the last 2 games, to be honest. And he did. And so I thought that part was pretty encouraging. Timing stuff, I thought he was a little bit better yesterday than he was on Thursday. Thursday he took 2 or 3 balls right to the rim and missed layups. And, certainly you can, sometimes that happens once, but, usually with Ray, he's not going to miss 3 in a game. And I think part of that's just timing and figuring it out and figuring out how to reconnect with where we're at right now as a team and with the guys that are playing, figuring out his body and, how that works. Again, obviously he's had his hand wrapped a little bit, but I think he's much closer from a conditioning standpoint than what I ever would have anticipated. And I think his timing yesterday was better than it was on Thursday against Michigan. So I thought those 2 things were, certainly gave me the feeling that we're heading in the right direction.
It seems too like he's not frustrated with the fact that he's not completely caught up. Is that important?
Oh, no question, the mental side. Yeah, I think so. I think he's, caught up in that deal that he's a senior and he wants to compete and help the team have an opportunity to win games. And, I thought he had that disposition in both the games this past week, which shows a little bit of maturity.
Thanks.
Sure.
Your next question comes from the line of Jeremy Warner with Rivals.com.
Morning, John. I just wanted to ask you about the development of Austin Colbert the last couple of weeks. What has he shown you?
Oh, he just keeps getting better, Jeremy. He really, I thought, did some good things yesterday. He's I can play with a little bit more physicality. He's working on that. I think his attention to detail has been better, probably from the fact that he's gained a little bit of confidence playing in these last handful of games. Has made him even more tuned in mentally. I think his concentration's been better, whether it's to what we're doing or scouting or, game planning. I think that part's been good. Thought he's played with a lot of energy. And I just think he's made significantly more positive plays than he has mistakes over this handful of games. And it's the first time he's really done that on a consistent basis. So, I'm excited. He's contributed very, very positively, here lately, and hopefully he can keep building on that because that does nothing but help our team.
Seems like Laurent struggled to stay on the court with a little bit of foul. So what do you want to see out of him, and what's Austin's kind of emergence? Is that pushing him a little bit?
Well, I think 2 or 3 things. Obviously the Michigan game, they were small. They had a lot of guards playing out there, and we had to match up a little bit differently. So that was that one. And then, yesterday he gets in foul trouble and gets dinged with 2 fouls. And I actually put him back in for one more stretch in the first half, even with the 2 fouls. And then Colbert played so well, that we ended up playing him more in the second half, and deservedly so. He played well. He made a few baskets. He got some rebounds per minute played. He defended well. He moved his feet well. I thought he was really in tune to the game plan. So, that was also a part of it. And then trying to figure out, Ray and Malcolm and how much we're playing each guy at the 3 and all that stuff. We're still. We're close because I, as I said earlier to Shannon's question, I think that it's an even smoother transition than what I anticipated, to be honest. So that part's good. Now we just got to continue. We got a great off-week opportunity here to figure out some more of those things and get those things more sharpened, if you will, heading into next Sunday's game against Michigan State.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate your time this morning.
Sure. Take care.
Talk to you next week. And we are now joined by the Spartans head coach Tom Izzo. Michigan State is 17-8 on the season and 8-4 in Big Ten play. The Spartans will travel to Michigan on Tuesday before playing at Illini. Izzo, good morning.
Good morning. Well, we're coming off a big win against a very good Ohio State team. I thought, we put a lot of time into Delangelo Russell, who I think might be the best guard I've seen in this league in a long time, and we somewhat contained them, and I thought that was a difference in the game. But really, like Ohio State has been playing, and I just thought on that given day we played pretty well ourselves. big week for us this week, but a Tuesday game against Michigan, our rival, and they're playing. I think he's done as good a job as anybody with the lineup they've had, and he's played everybody very well and should have probably won a couple more games. And so that's a concerning factor, and that's the only one I'm looking at right now, even though we got Illinois into the week.
Thanks, Coach. Let's go straight to questions, please.
If you'd like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question comes from Johnson Shop with Spartan Nation.
Coach, this rivalry has kind of re-elevated in recent years. How many of these games, incidents around this rivalry or recruiting battles, how many of them stick with you over time? How many of them maybe have stuck with Judd? And is that part of what really makes the game with Michigan, the rivalry with Michigan, so much fun?
Well, I think that the difference is, I think as Judd used to say to our freshmen coming in, if you don't understand it now, in a couple of years you will. The difference between John and I think it's a big rival to him too, but, he's been there 7 years or whatever, and I've been here 32. So, yeah, you've been through a lot of different things over the years, but ironically, we still recruit some of the same kids, but it's not as many as maybe it used to be in the past. And so the rivalry is about two good teams that, are in the same state, and that's not always the case. Some rivalries are like Wisconsin and Minnesota, where they're not in the same state, or, so this one is the Auburn and Alabama football rivalry. It's two schools in the same state, and they've gotten a lot better over the last 4 or 5 years, and we've kind of been where we were for the years before, and so now it's a good rivalry is one when either team can win, and that's where we're at now.
Coach, 4 or 5 years ago, we talked about potential changes to the game, moving the three-point line back, maybe returning the jump ball to some extent, adjusting the lane, maybe shortening the shot clock, yet nothing has changed yet. Do you expect any of those type of changes coming to college basketball anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm not sure I wouldn't agree with all of them now. Even the jump ball, I'm not a big fan of not earning it, but then we'd have to get officials to throw it up a little better. But, I think that I still agree with shortening the shot clock. I still agree with lengthening the three-point line. That's just me. It's not a game changer in any way, shape, or form, but I think it would make the game better. I think we widened it out a little bit. It wouldn't be as congested. I think the one thing we did do was try to stop the hand checking, and now I think we got everybody zoning, so I'm not sure we solved the problem, but maybe that's just the way it is. It's basketball, and maybe we're messing with it too much. So whatever they tell me, that's the way I'll play.
Your next question comes from the line of Amelia Reyno with the Minneapolis Star-Tribune.
Hi, Coach. I'm just curious. There's obviously been so many injuries in the Big Ten this year. Do you remember a year where there were this many key players hurt across the season, and how do you think it's affected the Big Ten race?
Well, I think two things have affected the Big Ten race a lot, and that's one of them, and the other one was the addition of teams and who you play once and when you play them and where you play them. It's so hard to get a handle on where everybody is right now, and it's going to take a few years. It's not necessarily a negative as far as what's going to better our conference for our future, but I think it's a problem now in that, fans can't get a handle on where everybody is. Media can't get a handle, but to be honest with you, as a coach, I can't get a handle sometimes because I look at different, who's got the same record as you. Yeah, but who did they play, and did they play them on the road? Did they play them at home? And the injury part is very big nationwide, and I've got my own thought process on that, but I still think for the most part, too many one-sport guys playing probably too much in that sport, and I think these guys are, they're getting to the NBA or NFL quicker, but are they staying any longer because of, the different injuries and different things that are happening? I just worry that too much pounding at too young of an age, and that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean you cut out anything. It just means you give guys some breaks in there, and we don't do a very good job of that. I don't mean college coaches, we got our own rules. We're not allowed. I'm talking high school or AU or all the different things. I think we got to watch that we're not overdoing it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Your next question comes from the line of Rod Beard with the Detroit News.
Hey, Tom, good morning.
What's up?
Just wanted to get your thoughts on injuries, and when you have so many to some of your good players as you've had in the past, how do you rally your guys from game to game, and especially in a rivalry game like this, where Michigan, for example, has had a couple of losses in overtime, and emotionally you just have to get them up for another big game after a crushing loss like that?
Well, I think the rivalry makes it better. I think like Northwestern did yesterday. They've had some tough ones, and rivalry game you never have to get your kids ready for. It's just kind of what it is. Yeah, it gets depressing to lose games. It gets depressing to lose people. I mean, and that's what all the questions seem to be about right now. Is there's so many of us losing people. Us a lot last year, us a lot early in this year, and we still have our best freshmen out. So. It's a problem, but I think it's less of a problem on a rivalry game than it is if you were playing, at a Rutgers or something that isn't local and isn't, the same. So there's no question in this game. John will have his kids ready to play. They've played very well in the last 4 games, and a couple of them just not quite good enough to win them for a variety of reasons. And those things happen with injuries because you're having guys play with more minutes than maybe they're used to, and things like that. Foul trouble maybe becomes factors. It's a lot of different reasons, but I think the Michigan State game or the Indiana-Purdue game, I mean, teams are going to be up. They're not going to be down about a couple of losses or over too hyped about a couple of wins. That's what rivalries are all about.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your time this morning. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.